I said, tell me what's really going on. Why does RF still not have a Pro Trail Racing series? What's up, my dudes? This is my new custom track called Muddy Trail. So I have 3 tractions here. We have a kind of like a light mud over the dirt, and then we have a grass style map, and then we have a slick mud on the actual water section. So pretty standard for my custom tracks. And this is more of what you would call like a, not like a hyper realistic trail track. It's almost like you mixed a motocross track with a trail track. So I just wanted to change it up a little bit, do something a little bit different than I have been doing with the really tight style trail tracks. I wanted to make it a little bit wider. There's no collidable tree billboards or anything like that on this track, so you don't have to worry about actually hitting. Had a little voice crack there. Am I 15 or what? But this one, I just wanted to make it a little bit more open, just try to do something different. Pretty cool little, kind of like going through a field type section right there. But I don't know if you guys can see it on YouTube, but this track does have the rain effect on it going like all the time. It's on my Rainforest Trail custom track, and I plan on doing this on quite a few more tracks in the future. So yeah, man, just really tried to focus on doing something cool with the environment and trying to do something a little bit more time put into it on some of the cool, unique on-track sections and stuff like that. I know I always try to do something a little bit different than you've ever seen before on my custom tracks, and there's definitely some of that on this track. Couple of water sections where you actually cross over the water on a tire. So that's pretty cool, pretty unique. I've never really seen anything like that before in this game. And just like right here, let me pause this for a second. You can just see some of the improvements on my scenery here. You know, this right here actually looks fairly realistic in my opinion. You know, got the water right there. Let me see if I can get over here in this view. I know some parts of the track are going to look a little bit on the unrealistic side. Got a nice little field of different sort of kind of almost like a crop, I guess you could call it, is what it looks like. But over here, you know, I guess it takes sort of a combination of a lot of things to make a scenery look good, and it takes it like having it almost in a way where you don't see all of it. You know, you almost have to like blend it in a certain sense to where it looks good. But, you know, I've just been steadily improving on every single one of my aspects of track building, and that just takes time, and it's just something that, you know, as far as the actual artistic side of scenery and stuff like that, that's probably one of the hardest aspects of track making, in my opinion, because you have to almost be a straight up artist in that sense to be able to put it together and make it look realistic and make it look like something that's cool. You know, it's not as simple as just making a track design layout that you thought would be fun in a motocross game. You know, there's a lot more layers to track building if you want to really take it seriously, and that's what you start to learn. Like, it takes having multiple tree billboards. You know, I'm talking like 4 or 5 different types of tree billboards. You got to have the logs off of the tracks. You got to have the small rocks off of the tracks. You got to combine that with bigger rocks, and then combine that with smaller sort of plant type billboards and little grass billboards, and then you combine that with different bigger logs, and then you put all that sort of together, and then you have sort of bush style, you know, full-blown bush statues that you try to put on the track, and trying to put all those elements together is what makes it look realistic. You know, if you took any one element out of that, then it wouldn't look as good. So pretty tricky little little hill right here. Definitely having trouble on that. So the entire track has a sort of like a base slickness to it. It's not super slick. It's not like, you know, you're just going to spin right out on it, but it definitely doesn't feel like a brownie mix perfect dirt style traction. So, you know, if you see me going a little bit slower, that's why, because this track definitely takes patience, just like any trail track should. Definitely, you know, like some of these sections you really got to slow down for, but then again, you have other sections where you go wide open on them, like going through the pasture section over there in the grass. So it's kind of like a track where you go really fast and then you go really slow, and then you go really fast and then you go really slow. So it mentally drains you riding on this track. Like, you know, if you run a 20-lap race on this track, I promise by the end of it, you're going to be like, my brain is dead, dude. Straight up. That's really what it's going to feel like. Like right here, you got to slow all the way down so you don't over jump that downhill. Then you go back to wide open on this grass section. You can basically, I mean, straight up, wide open. Oh, yeah, dude, straight up. Just go wide open for sure. That'll work out perfect for you, man. But let me see here. I can't remember. Did I run? I don't know how many laps I ran on this, but so like I tried to replicate sort of that field type feeling where there's little bits of random sort of kickers out in the middle of the field, and there is that, but you just kind of got to learn where they're at. So it's like super high risk in going full speed, but you really want to go full speed because it's almost perfectly flat in a sense. Oh, almost endoed right there. But, I mean, as you can see, you know, it's not a super tight trail track where there's, like, trees right on the edge of the track or anything like that. It's just, it's more of your standard, I guess, what you would normally find in MX Simulator as far as trail tracks, even though there's barely any trail tracks in this game. That's one aspect of this game that I cannot believe that it's the way that it is. Like, there's barely any trail tracks in this game. There's no Pro Racing RF Trail Series. They really need to get on that pronto ASAP, dude. I don't know what they're waiting on that, but I mean, it's, you know, just how we have Supercross and Motocross. They need to have a pro trail racing series of the same caliber that all the pros race in, and I think that'd be really good for the game. And I do have a motocross style section up here, crazy kickered out jump where you jump over a bunch of rocks and then you sort of hit this thing. Definitely motocross-esque, but see, that's the thing about a trail track. You know, there's no limit to what you put on it, man. You can make it as motocrossy as you want to make it. You can make it as tight, hyper-realistic trail style as you want to make it. You can do whatever you want to do, but as you can see, like, there's flat sections and then there's other sections that are a lot more ruddy. This is more like a design of where I wanted to make it rideable. I didn't want to make the whole track just thousands of ruts. So it's almost like if you had a track that where it's just deeper mud. You know, it's not like a super slick, like it just started, you know, raining, a bunch of rain on this track and it's so wet and there's just ruts going everywhere. It's not quite like that. It's more like maybe like if it, I mean, like seconds after it started raining or something like that, like it just added a little bit of slickness to the mud. There's not like crazy amounts of ruts on the track. So I swear sometimes it feels like I'm the only track maker in MX Simulator that actually tries to do something different. Like, I don't know why it feels like that, but in a lot of respect to all the track makers out there, I mean, I love what you do, but it's just so many people, I feel like they just try to make something good, quote unquote. They don't really try to make anything different. And I mean, and that goes with anything in this world. Like, it's easy to make something good. You know what I mean? That's simplistic. That's not that difficult, because all you got to do to make something good is to make it basically a little bit better, but almost exactly like what somebody else has made it. But if you go in there and try to make something completely different and you go deep into the waters where no one's really been there before, that's the hard part. That's how you actually leave your mark in something, you know, and people don't understand that. They just stick to this cookie cutter, make it the exact same way, and they try to perfect that way that they do that, and of course they end up making, you know, decent tracks at the end of the day. But you know, when you really sit down and think about it, those tracks are just going to be forgotten because they're nothing new. They're nothing innovative. They're just okay tracks. You know, they're just decent on tracks and pretty similar off tracks and stuff like that, but it's just nothing unique. Like, people need to open their minds up a little bit, man. Check out this section right here. Like look at that, dude. I mean, you got to get to the point where it's like, you stop caring about people not liking what you do. That's the whole trick to being innovative. You got to say, I don't give a fuck what they think about this. I'm just going to make it. And then whatever happens, happens. And, you know, I've gotten hate for doing this and doing that and whatever. And I don't even care, man. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I know that no one's ever done this stuff, man. Like, you don't just do it instantly for the first time and you've got it perfected, especially when no one else has even done it before. Like, it just takes time. And I feel like you just have those innovative people, and then you have those people that stay in their little box. You know, they stay in their little comfort zone of whatever it is that they're doing. And a lot of times people confuse that for, oh, this person's amazing at doing whatever they're doing, but it's really just they're doing the exact same thing every single time they do it, so then they get really good at that one thing, but really they're not actually doing anything innovative at all. You know, that's how a lot of people are with certain things that they do. But yeah, track link in the description. Got more tracks going to be coming out soon. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Just be careful on this section. It can be a little gnarly if you try to jump all the way into the rollers. Just be patient on this track. Don't get too ahead of yourself, because it's funny how this track's a really good teacher of that, because the second, and I mean the second, you start trying to be a little too peppy, you know, you get a little antsy and you start trying to go above your comfort zone, bam, you go down just like that. You know, it's funny how if you just keep it at like a medium flow sort of speed, then you'll cruise around this track like it's nothing. You know, you'll get around the track like it's nothing. But the second you start trying to go a little bit over that medium sort of speed, it gets sketchy, dude. Like, basically instantly gets sketchy. So, but fun track nonetheless. You know, tried to put some unique stuff. That was me getting caught up on that hill right there. And yeah, I have all the roost files in there. So if you run through the water, it's going to throw up this baby puke green colored kind of roost. And then just on the normal dirt, it's going to have more of a muddy style roost to it. But I really like how the whole track came together with the rain and some of the rut sections. Don't get too frustrated with these rut sections. I know, listen, they're not meant to be a perfect motocross style rut. Like, that's not what I was going for, dude. You know, some people get on some of my tracks and they're like, dude, this sucks, or what, this rut sucks, or why'd you build it like this, or, you know, that's not good at all. And they're like over here trying to compare it to a perfectly built, you know, brownie mix style motocross track. It's like, dog, that's obviously not what I was going for there. People just don't get it. They don't understand it. Like, you know, you got to build shit a little bit weird and a little bit crazy if you're trying to make a muddy trail track. Like, you don't want perfect ruts on a muddy trail track. That's not right. Like, that's not how it should be. You know, and people are so scared of that negative backlash that they're scared of making something different or crazy. You know, they're scared of making it a little bit weird feeling, or whatever the case may be. They just try to make it a perfectly smooth built style track. That's what most people do in this game. But I hope to see more innovation in the future. I hope I've, you know, at least tried to inspire some people to break out of that box a little bit. And that's one of my biggest goals with custom track making and YouTube and everything, is just trying to, you know, help people, you know, expand that mind a little bit, man. That's what it's all about, dude. There's no limit to it. So, but yeah, trying to improve on my off-track designs. This is more of a standard woodland. I know I'm usually off on some crazy space tracks and stuff like that, but try to tone it down a little bit. It's got a couple different ground decals. I could have expanded maybe a little bit more on the ground decal side of it, but I still think it looks pretty good for what it is. And didn't try to overload it. You know, that's always a big thing that people do not understand about MX Simulator. It's like, dude, if you make a full-size trail track, like, you cannot load that up with objects and shit like you can a small little arena cross track. You just can't do it. I mean, you can, but then it's going to lag, and you're not even going to be able to ride on the track. So that's something else that people need to understand. Like, the bigger the scale of the track, the lower the amount of detail you can end up actually putting on that. So, and it's harder to pay fine detail attention to things when you have a bigger scale track like that as well, because it's just, you're just trying to make it to where nothing looks like really out of place. You know, that's the biggest goal when you're making something like this. But a couple of the sections, you can kind of hop through them in cool little ways. Once you figure it out, it's not bad at all. Didn't try to make anything super difficult where you have to turn back down the hill 300 times and never be able to get up the section. You got to be patient with that throttle. You know, you got to be, don't be afraid to just kind of, you know, medium throttle up stuff. Like, don't pull your throttle trigger all the way down. Like, just medium, dude. You know, you got to remember, you can do 70% throttle. You can do 69% throttle. You don't have to do 100% or nothing. 0 to 100, you know. And that's one thing I have the mistake of doing in this game is I think it's either like all throttle or nothing. But once you get on these trail tracks, you start to realize, like, you can either just shift up an extra gear or you can do like that 69% throttle action, and it actually helps you a lot with a lot of these different sections and stuff on the track. But either way, I appreciate all the support. You guys can donate below. Every little bit helps. Believe it or not, I know it may not seem like that sometimes with people. It's like, oh, what's $1 gonna do? Well, you think about it, like if 1,000 people donate me $1, I mean, shit, I can quit my real job and just make custom tracks all day long. So, I mean, honestly, you know, when it gets to a point like that, you can actually invest a lot more time into it. So when you're supporting, whether it be a YouTuber or a track maker or whatever the case may be, it really is true that every little bit helps, and you're getting more out of that person in the long run whenever you donate money to them. But I know, you know, donations, whatever, you don't have to do it. I understand. That's why all of my tracks are free. I don't charge for anything. I don't charge for my YouTube channel videos. I don't charge for any of that stuff because I understand, like the free market is what makes it what it is. You know, that's what makes it so awesome, is because you don't have to pay for it. That's what makes YouTube thrive so much, is people don't have to pay to watch these YouTube channels, but yet the YouTube channels still make money. That's what makes this whole environment go round. And it's the same way with custom track making, man, or any of that kind of stuff. You know, not charging for it. Somebody can just hop on there, download the track, have fun with it. It grows the game, makes everything, you know, expand in that sense. Everyone has more fun with it. It just helps every single aspect when it's free like that. But you can't forget, like, you know, donating to those people still does help out. But anyways, enough of me saying, hey, dudes, donate to me. Being a little shit over here. But either way, I appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.